Good evening. Tonight, we're looking at a development that could signal a significant shift in the Ukraine conflict and one that may have broader implications far beyond the battlefield. For the first time in nearly 4 years, Ukrainian officials report that their forces carried out a military operation far from the front lines, striking an oil tanker in neutral waters of the Mediterranean Sea. This operation, more than 2,000 kilometers from Ukraine's territory, is being described by Kyiv as unprecedented. The vessel targeted is part of what is widely referred to internationally as Russia's shadow fleet. These tankers, often operating under opaque ownership or changing flags, frequently have been linked by analysts to efforts to continue exporting oil despite international sanctions. Ukraine says the tanker was empty at the time and sustained critical damage, rendering it non-operational. No environmental harm was reported. At first glance, this might seem like a single tactical strike, but the implications run much deeper. By targeting a vessel so far from its own borders, Ukraine is signaling that its reach is expanding. It's no longer a conflict confined to Ukrainian territory or nearby waters. It now touches international trade routes and potentially affects global maritime operations. From a strategic perspective, this could have several consequences. Pressure on Russian logistics. If Ukraine can disrupt shipping linked to the so-called shadow fleet, it may reduce revenue that supports ongoing military operations, creating indirect economic pressure on Russia. Escalation risk. Moscow has already responded publicly, with President Vladimir Putin warning that attacks on energy-related infrastructure could increase security risks and potentially trigger further escalation. This is a reminder that long-range operations carry geopolitical stakes beyond the immediate battlefield. Impact on global trade and insurance. Maritime insurers and shipping companies are likely to adjust their risk calculations. Routes previously considered low risk may now require higher premiums or stricter security measures, affecting global trade flows. Diplomatic and regional consequences. The strike in international waters raises questions for neighboring countries and the broader Mediterranean region. How will Turkey, NATO members, and other regional players respond? Will this spark negotiations, or will it heighten tensions in maritime zones previously considered neutral? It's also important to consider the psychological and signaling effect. By conducting such a long-range operation, Ukraine is showing both its domestic audience and the international community that it can project power and defend its interests far from its borders. For Russia, this is a signal that Kyiv is willing and capable of targeting critical infrastructure linked to the war effort anywhere it can reach. That said, the strike also comes with risks. Any miscalculation could lead to unintended escalation, as Russia has already warned. Incidents like this can increase tension not just on the battlefield, but in diplomatic arenas, potentially drawing other nations into discussions or even indirect involvement. Independent verification of the strike and its impact remains limited. Maritime tracking services have not released full details, and information from either side can be incomplete or conflicting. That means while the event is significant, the full consequences will unfold over days, weeks, or even months. What's clear is that this incident represents a new chapter in the Ukraine conflict. The war, which began as a regional struggle, is increasingly affecting international waters, trade networks, and strategic calculations far from Kyiv and Moscow. Analysts will be watching closely to see whether this is an isolated operation or the start of a broader strategy targeting logistical networks that support military operations. In short, this strike isn't just about a single tanker in the Mediterranean. It's about strategy, signaling, economic pressure, and the potential reshaping of the conflict's reach. For international observers, it raises difficult questions. How far can Ukraine project its capabilities? How will Russia respond? And what risks are introduced to global maritime security? As the situation develops, we will continue to monitor the story closely, bringing updates and expert insights to help you understand not just what happened, but why it matters, and what it could mean for the future of this conflict and the wider world.